In honor of Women's History Month, we are proud to share this video interview with Kathy Krepcio, Executive Director of the Heldrich Center for Workforce Development, where she also serves as a senior researcher. She is responsible for the executive management and day-to-day oversight of administration, research, technical assistance, client service, and project operations for the Heldrich Center. Prior to joining the center, she served as Chief of Staff in the New Jersey State Office of Information Technology and as the Director for Policy and Planning at the New Jersey Department of Human Services. Kathy earned a Master of Arts from the Eagleton Institute of Politics at Rutgers University and a Bachelor of Arts from the Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs at Syracuse University. Kathy, please tell me about your current work and research as Executive Director of the Heldrich Center for Workforce Development.
Currently, I'm the Executive Director and a Senior Researcher at the Heldrich Center for Workforce Development at Rutgers University. I have been here 18 years in this position. Most of my job is I oversee the day-to-day operations of the center, and I also get involved in the strategic planning for the center, the budgeting, and certainly help to provide program direction and direction to the center's research agenda.
What has been your greatest achievement in your career thus far? What helped you to succeed?
I would say there's a couple of things that I'm most proud of. One is before I came to the Heldrich Center, I worked 18 years for the New Jersey Department of Human Services and the New Jersey Office of Information Technology. I think when I was at the Department of Human Services, I had a unique opportunity to be at the forefront of welfare reform when it moved from aid to families with dependent children to temporary assistance for needy families. And it was very controversial at the time because we were asking women to go to work. And I felt very strongly that I think, women should be able to work if they want to work and can work. And I've worked nonstop for probably a good part of 40 years. And so work has always been a part of my DNA. So I led many iterations of both the conceptualization and the implementation of welfare reform for the state of New Jersey, and it was very rewarding. A second thing has to do with September 11th. When I was at the Office of Information Technology, I was the Chief of Staff there on 9/11, and it so happened that both of my bosses, the Chief Technology Officer and the Chief Information Officer, were out of the country on that day, and I was in the State House. It was actually National 911 Day. And I was at the State House giving awards to first responders when the planes hit the towers. And so I got to witness how the governor's office and the state capitol responded to it. But I also realized that I was in charge of the state's entire network infrastructure. And just those last days of working with a great team at that time in the office and having to send folks up to into Manhattan to try to make sure networks were in place and the internet was working. It was, to this day, I still have staff who call me on September 11th to say, I remember what we all did that day. And the third thing is also relates to 9/11, because when I first came to the Heldrich Center, they had just gotten a grant from the September 11th Fund to help folks who had lost their job as a result of the terrorist attacks try to get back to work. And so my first job here was to be the project director and to help New York City and the September 11th Fund and areas around the city put together within 3 or 4 months a massive unemployment assistance program. So it was my great pleasure to work with New York City at that time and lots of nonprofits in the September 11th Fund to just massively put together a program that ended up costing $78 million and helping 11,000 people over the course of 2 years. And so I will never forget that project because I met some great talented people. A lot of the people I work with have now gone on to leadership positions in various nonprofits or foundations over the years. And we helped a lot of people. And it also gave me a distinct understanding of different forms of dislocated workers, that dislocated workers were no longer, some guy at a Ford factory who's lost his job, but people who spanned all kinds of jobs and industries and types of work. So it was a great experience, and great experience for the Heldrich Center.
What advice would you give to the next generation of women leaders?
I would say number one is be your authentic self. Don't try to be somebody you're not. Don't try to be one of the boys. Just be yourself and decide what you want to do and ask for it. I've seen a lot of people, women, over the course of my career who are afraid to ask for a raise or afraid to ask for a certain project, and I sort of looked at it, well, take a risk. The worst that can happen is someone says no. But one reason why I was the policy director for human services at the time is the commissioner had asked me to do something. And I said, well, I would be happy to do it, but I would like a promotion. And I thought I was being really, risky at the time. And he went, yeah, okay. And I'm like, well, wow, wow, that didn't hurt so much. So I would definitely do that. And then the other thing I would say is, find other women, whether it's your friends or colleagues, and just enjoy their company and network with them. I have had the pleasure to have a group of women I've worked with for the past 30 to 40 years. I'm still friends with them. I really try to spend a lot of time with my colleagues here at the Heldrich Center. And I just think it's just you get along so much better by just their advice and counsel.
Kathy, finally, which women, either living or deceased, inspire you the most?
I would say my work colleagues, my past and present work colleagues, and my friends inspire me the most. I'm not somebody who is particularly inspired by celebrities or nationalists. Well, maybe Stevie Nicks from Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, I think she's pretty rocking. But, I would say that, every day I get inspiration out of people that I work with or have worked with. And I think just in listening to what they have to say and then giving me advice. And I just think they're terrific and I love them to death.
Thanks for watching this interview with Kathy Krepcio. Be sure to watch our other video interviews celebrating Women's History Month.